No, I'm not gonna eat anything. Okay. Hi guys, what's up? I know the last video you kind of couldn't hear me. That's because I found out if I'm in a call, I was in a call for the whole vid practically until the end. I actually didn't know during a call you cannot hear the video. So I'm really sorry about that. I'm still gonna be I still posted it. I really hope you like it. I'm making another video right now actually about why don't I just show you guys? Where is it? YouTube. Okay, this is gonna be how about tell me in the comments what you want me to react to next, because I'm gonna be reacting to stuff now. How about react to some of the, what are they called, my life animated things. Some of these. God. How about we check out this one? This one seems nice.
Crafting our authentic fragrances begins
Yeah,
with ingredients
if I had
from the
YouTube
earth.
Premium, I would so buy it, but as I said, I'm not going to get money on Thursday, which was yesterday,
started running after me.
or at all.
Keep on running. I have to think about my mother. I opened my eyes and tried to speak, but instead of words, a bark came out of my mouth, and that's how I became the dog woman. Hi there. Sorry, I got caught up in the moment while reading this weird story from the internet. I'm Erica, a certified bookworm. I have a huge collection of books in my room, from textbooks, encyclopedias, to all kinds of fiction. There's just something addicting about learning new stuff and stories. But one day, my world crashed when my mom lost her job and she could no longer afford to buy me books. And online books hurt my eyes. I couldn't stop whining about it. My mom should find another job as soon as possible, or else I might go crazy. I have been rereading my favorite novels for the past 2 days, but I can't be satisfied. I badly need new books to read. One night, my heart broke when I saw my mom crying inside her room. The first and last time when I saw her crying was when Anna, her partner, and my other mom died 10 years ago when I was just 8, and now she's crying again. So it means that she's miserable. Mom, I called her. She turned away to wipe her tears as I entered her room. Are you crying? No, I'm not, silly girl. She chuckled a little. I just chopped some onions. In your bedroom? I sarcastically replied as I lovingly hugged her. Go get back to sleep, she said. I promise I'll find another job as soon as possible so I can buy you a new book already. I should be looking forward to what she said, but I felt terrible instead. I realized that I had been insensitive about the situation. I kept asking for the books when her savings were just enough for our food and bills. She didn't even get her last paycheck. I just realized how stressful it was on her part. I'm worried about our unpaid loans and bills. I've applied for 10 jobs and was unsuccessful, and I'm just really tired, Erica. Tired of what, Mom? I felt some warmth building up in my chest when I looked at her face. The lines and wrinkles have become more prominent, making her look older than she really is. I'm tired of being alone in this. I just wanted you to always be happy. She sighed and blinked the tears away again. Forget about the books, Mom. I can go to the library and read for free. How can I help you? I offered. I couldn't stand seeing her like this. She's the only treasure I have.
Something. I can't just sit here and watch my mom in misery. I have to help her. I have to be strong. I have to find a way to make her smile again. But first I have to read a real book again. I needed to recharge, so I went to the local library the next day. So many books, so many stories, I gasped as I looked around. My moment of wonder was broken by the noise of the people around, followed by the old librarian enforcing the rule of silence. In all the commotion, my gaze was drawn to one woman sitting among the piles of books. She was just typing on her laptop, seemingly unbothered by the chaos around her. I spent my whole day reading and marveling around the library, and I couldn't help but worry about my mom.
Okay, then.
The stories couldn't help me with the peace of mind. If only I could do something to help. An idea came to my mind. I wanted to ask her if there were any vacant jobs here so I could apply. But I didn't know how to approach the librarian. She looked very strict and scary, like she was always ready to hit me with a stick. She reminded me of Edna Mode from The Incredibles. Would never turn me down or shut me up even before I could say something. I needed more time to gather up some courage for this. I came back to the library for the next 3 days and experienced the same scenario, but with a different set of people, except for that beautiful lady who was nonstop typing on her laptop. Every time I looked at her, she was always typing with her eyes seemingly glued on her laptop screen. I was reading my 5th book of the day, which was written by Rainbow Girl, my favorite author of teen fiction.
Who the heck
Reading
is...
5 novels in one day is quite impressive. It was Mrs. Anderson, the librarian. I didn't notice her presence approaching me. How did you get such passion? I rarely meet people like you nowadays. Most people now are all over the internet and prefer ebooks. There was a smile on her face as she spoke, so I felt at ease. It was my first time seeing her smile. I immediately stood up to answer her questions. It was my chance to inquire about the job. My other mom used to collect books, and I kept on reading them. It has become an addiction ever since. A bookworm, I see. She eyed me closely. I didn't know what to say next, so I awkwardly struck her up with some random trivia about books. Did you know that the longest title of a book has 3,777 words? She dropped her jaw in astonishment. You must be joking, my dear. No, I'm not. Then what is it? I bet you can memorize it. Yes, I do, but do you really want me to recite it here? It would take us years before I finish it. I could have read about 1,000 books by that time. You can check it in the Guinness World Records by yourself. To my surprise, she started chuckling. I think I like you. Why don't you help me manage this library as a part-time job?
Did you know every year?
Ah, dang it, stupid ads.
Accidentally ingest
No!
batteries.
It was also getting good.
Lithium coin battery is
Oh
I
god.
suddenly saw some imaginary fireworks blasting right before my
Oh,
eyes.
pew.
I couldn't be more relieved. and
4th of
thankful
July
at
was
her
like
offer.
months
They
ago,
say
dang
don't
it,
judge
it's
the book by
October.
its cover. And I say, yes, indeed, Mrs. Anderson is one perfect example of it. She may be strict at times, but if you think about it, she was just doing her job. She actually seems nice. I think you're my fairy godmother. I was about to ask you if there was any vacancy here. My mom's lost her job and I really wanted to help her. Well, you can help her now and actually do what you like at the same time. Just help me around here. I think that's the best offer that I have ever heard in my life.
Okay, that was
I wanted
weird.
to surprise my
I
mom
just
with
like...
my first salary at the end of the month, so I decided to keep this as a secret first. It was like heaven for me. This is actually what I wanted, to become a librarian or a book editor.
Ooh.
Mrs. Anderson just made my dream come true.
You can be my editor.
to happen, and that is for my mom to be
I don't even
genuinely
have
happy
enough money to
again.
pay
She
someone to
hasn't
be
been
an
in the dating game for a long while now.
editor.
The world is not all about money anyway. It's about following your
My
passion
dream was
and
to be a
finding your
YouTuber.
happiness.
And
Mrs.
well,
Anderson
look
then
where I
started
am now.
orienting me about
Well,
my
I
job
mean, I don't have any
responsibilities
subscribers
as her
yet, but...
assistant. All I have to do is help her with some paperwork, assist
I hope you
the
get the
readers
point.
here, and to make sure that they are following the rules of the library. On my first day of work, a guy came in with a blender and started doing his banana smoothie. Excuse me. I cleared my throat as I approached him. This is a library, not a kitchen? Yeah, I could tell by the books, he casually replied while he continued doing it. The loud whirring sound of the machine was scraping in our eardrums. Do you mind stopping it? Some people are studying, while others want to read in peace and solitude. Thank you. Do you want some? To my surprise, he offered me a glass of smoothie and a cheeseburger. I suppressed the urge to give in as they looked delectable. My mom cut down my school allowance and the budget for our food, so we'd been eating less for a week now. Please read the rules about food consumption inside the library. I pointed to the board with a list of rules with a serious face, but my stomach betrayed me. It growled so loudly in anticipation, and everyone must have heard it. The guy just started munching the cheeseburger in front of me, obviously teasing me. I was about to give in when Mrs. Anderson suddenly interrupted us. What is this all about? She asked sharply. The guy stood up and bowed apologetically. I'm sorry for the disturbance, ma'am. We were just doing a prank video for our YouTube channel. He turned to me again. Do you mind if you're in it? There was another guy at one corner secretly taking a video of us the whole time. So it means that everyone will get to see my face on YouTube? No, I don't want anyone to see me online, especially my mom. My job here will remain a secret until my first salary. I politely declined the vlogger's offer. As soon as they left, Mrs. Anderson then pulled me to her office and gave me her breakfast. I'll handle the library for the next hour. Just have a rest and eat. You need it. Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. You're the best. I couldn't resist her offer now. We're dead already. Days rolled so fast, and it was Friday already. It was the day before the weekend, so I expected to see less people in the library today. Mrs. Anderson didn't come. so she left all the responsibility to me. The library was totally empty when I arrived, except for the laptop of that beautiful woman on the table, where she always sits. Did she forget this here? I walked up to the table and started cleaning it. A part of me wanted to open her laptop and check what was making her busy all the time, but it's not good to touch other people's things without their permission and spying on them. While I was wiping the table, my elbow accidentally touched her mouse, and her screen suddenly lit up. It was just in sleeping mode earlier. Out of curiosity, I leaned down to see what...
Lindor, made to melt you by the Lint Master Chocolatier.
story. It was very fast. Chest. Oh my god, I'm so sorry for frightening you. Are you alright? She offered her hand and helped me get back to my feet. Sorry for sneaking into your laptop. I was cleaning the tables when your manuscript caught my attention. That's one nice story right there. I'm Denise, by the way. Denise and I became the best of friends in an instant. She was a 35-year-old aspiring author living in the city alone and was working at a publishing company. Over the next few days, I would help her out by giving her some books that could help her improve her story, and then review every chapter. I was enjoying this at the same time. Oh, and your mom died? I thought she just lost her job, she asked when I told her about my mom, Anna. Oh, I mean my other mom, I clarified. So you have two moms? She seemed confused by the setup. Yes, they were partners. I cleared it out for her. Oh. She looked down and I noticed the blush that crept across her face. Her reaction made me wonder for a moment, but I just brushed it off. I'm sorry about what happened to your mom. She must have noticed the sadness on my face and hurried to change the topic. So how was it, your early childhood? Well, whenever I had to ask something to one of them, she'd always be like, go ask your mom. And when I'd ask the other mom, she'd say again, go ask your mom. They'd keep at it until I gave up. It was hilarious, but it was a long time ago. But now I think we are okay. Life's not fiction where you can manipulate things according to your desires and create your world, like awakening the dead or changing your mom's life in an instant, I bitterly said. We can always turn fiction into reality, Erica, only if we believe that we can do it. Always remember that. Denise's words stunned me. A month had passed and I finally got my first ever salary. Mom got a job as a babysitter next door last week, but what she was getting was really low. I surprised her with a very delicious dinner that night. Surprise! I handed her an envelope with money inside. What's this? What are you up to lately, sweetie? My mom asked me with surprise and curiosity all over her face. I've been helping Mrs. Anderson in the library. I have been working as her assistant for the past month, and that's my first salary. Erica, this is huge! Her eyes widened when she finally opened the envelope. It's just enough for our bills and food. I'll look for more jobs. I'm also helping out my new best friend, Denise, an aspiring author who I met at the library. Why don't you invite them here for dinner so I can thank them? That's a great idea. The thought of the script to her editor, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Was it just a coincidence? Since you're so special to me now, I wanted you to know it, but just keep it a secret, okay? She winked at me, and I almost fainted at the revelation. She really wanted to keep her identity anonymous so people could judge her stories without any bias. Oh my god, I can't believe it. You're actually her. I can't thank you enough for this, Erica. My work with Anderson later at our house. She looked like a snake had bitten her neck for a moment. With your mom? She's blushing again, and it gave me the impression that she's a generally shy person. I went home early to prepare for our dinner date. Mom had already prepared all the delicious food on the table, and she was currently doing her makeup. Wow, I barely recognize you. You look so beautiful, Mom. She stood up and twirled around to show off her pretty dress. The look of excitement on her face was overwhelming. They will be here any minute now. Minutes later, the doorbell finally rang, and both women were now waiting at her front porch. Denise was wearing a beautiful black dress and makeup tonight, and her beauty made me speechless. She looked even more stunning now. I hugged them both and happily introduced them to my mom. I elbowed my mom when I noticed that she was not speaking. She was just staring at them, specifically at Denise, and so was Denise at her. I smirked when I realized something. How could I be this slow? Sorry, I was just... My mom stuttered, but I was able to get a grip right away. I'm just thrilled to finally meet you two. Erica has been talking endlessly about you. My heart leapt with joy when I saw the sparkle in her eyes as we chit-chatted with both women at the library after school. When I arrived home one night, I heard some voices from the kitchen. I discreetly headed there to check who was Mom's visitor. It was Denise. Why was I not surprised? My mom was cooking food for dinner while Denise kept on tickling her. As revenge, my mom smeared mayonnaise on her nose and they ended up in fits and giggles. It eventually faded when they stared at each other with some sort of tension. Them, the
God.
Boy, Brady.
I was
Shush!
screaming when the enormous black dog started running after me. I should.
Okay. How long have I been? 15? Okay. Yikes. What the heck?
These days,
I gotta
we
see
need
this
each
one.
other more than ever. That's why AARP created Community Connections.
When I was 9, things were nice, except Dad was cheating on
I
our
gotta
mom
keep the
and even
content
broke
with
some
y'all.
of my sisters and my toys when he was angry. But when he was calm, he was really fun, and still our dad, too. We loved him, but one day, he left our house, walked out the door, and never came back. It broke my family's heart, especially since my sister Tammy is kind of crazy and difficult to deal with for my mom. I kept writing my dad letters at the address a friend told us he was staying at, but he never responded. He even sent back one of our letters all ripped up. As I got older, I kept expecting him to show up and come back, or at least get in touch, but he never did, until I was 17, that is. My sister was genius-level smart, but liked to use her smarts to pull off crazy antics. One day, I decided to film some of my sister's stunts. With some of her friends, she had organized a big race through Costco, with bikes and everything. Later that night, I had an argument with my sister over her inconsiderate actions. She just laughed again and dared me to post the video, so I did. The next few days were pretty normal. My mom and I went grocery shopping together, and my sister and I argued. Until one day, while we were walking to school, a girl approached us. She asked my sister if she was the one from that Costco bike video. She showed the video, and I couldn't believe it. My video had over 700,890 views. Over the next few days, my video got more and more popular. I even got a bunch of subscribers. Some were angry, saying how my sister and her friends should be punished for what they did. A lot wanted to see more videos, though. I wasn't sure what to think. I posted a new video. It got thousands of views. The next day, it had 500,000, and the Costco bike video had even more. I also had a message from TikTok that I would now be verified and could earn ad money on the videos. We also got offers from places like Walmart and McDonald's for us to do stunts at their locations for PR. Maybelline wanted us to be the faces of their next ad geared at teens, and we said yes. Our mom wasn't sure what to think and wasn't pleased about our highway picnic stunt, but Tammy promised to tone it down. So Mom agreed that we could keep up our video thing. Over the next few weeks, I filmed more and more of my sister's crazy antics. How she started a spaghetti fight at school. How she brought a ladder into a movie theater and watched the whole movie with it. How she paid a parking ticket on a piece of toilet paper. Crazy stuff like that. And our video views and subscriber count boomed and boomed. So did our TikTok revenue. My mom made us open a savings account and put some of the money in there. I spent some on charities and mutual funds. But Tammy spent all of hers on stupid stuff, like a marble toilet and some designer clothes. After another few weeks, we even got on the news for being overnight TikTok sensations. The next day, my dad called us up. We couldn't believe it. He apologized for being away for so long and said he was ashamed and figured he had left things too long. He said that he wanted to see us now. My mom wasn't so sure what to think. I was suspicious and found it really convenient that my dad decided to show up now, of all times. But I missed my dad, and Tammy really wanted to go. So we agreed to see him that weekend. That weekend, my dad took us out for Dairy Queen Sundays and told us about what he had been up to since he left us. He was living on welfare and cried a lot, telling us that he was so ashamed he had just left his family how he did. He claimed that the stress of having to provide for us and having a terrible mother had just done him in. We had never heard anything about our grandma Beatrice being horrible and beating him, how he described. But my dad's tears looked real. When he asked to see us the next weekend, claiming that he even had ideas for future pranks with us, we agreed. I didn't really buy it though. Grandma Beatrice was the coolest woman I knew, and I thought it was pretty convenient Dad was coming up with all of this now. But my sister was really psyched about having seen him, and at having the prospects of having new ideas for pranks, since I didn't come up with many myself. I tried convincing my sister, but she wouldn't listen to anything against our dad. Even called me jealous since he had complimented her on her fearlessness. The next few weeks, I refused to see my dad. Tammy and him came up with a few prank ideas together, like filling our high school with balloons and switching out our local barber's toupee. These videos did well, but I was still suspicious. Tammy and I still hung out and went shopping together downtown. That night, we were on our way home when we saw our dad. He didn't see us though. He was very drunk with his back to us, sitting on a patio, surrounded by beer bottles with a friend. He was telling her how the only reason he had come back was to make a fortune off his famous stupid kids. He was laughing about he had lied about his mom being terrible and fed us a sob story that we had bought hook, line, and sinker. My sister and I hurried home. I was upset, but not overly surprised. Tammy was completely enraged though. At home, she was determined to get revenge on our dad. She created a list of crazy revenge ideas, including mummifying him with toilet paper, covering him with honey, and dumping him in the middle of a bear-filled forest. Her other ideas, like duct taping him to the ceiling of a porta potty, were equally evil. I had to talk sense into her. Finally, she agreed on a less serious idea for revenge that included public humiliation and that we could even cash in on too. The day of, Mom was visiting our Aunt Beatrice, so it was the perfect time. Dad came over around 7 p.m. for what we told him was a late dinner in the basement. We had told him that we had had it renovated since he was here. That was a lie. The basement was still in its creepy unfinished state, filled with my mom's weird antique doll collection, which Dad had hated when he had lived here years ago. We lured Dad to the basement with texts, then shut the door behind him and cut the lights. Then we started filming with our night vision camera. Dad flipped out. He started yelling and running around knocking things over. My sister was on one of the shelves, and right when my dad had calmed down, dropped Mom's creepiest, limbless doll right on him. He screamed like a baby and ran to the door, crying and begging to be let out. Once we opened the door, he ran out of the house, swearing, crying, and blubbering like a baby. Best part of all, we had it all on camera. Once we posted our video of Dad freaking out for being in the basement, it was our most popular video yet. It got over 2 million views. That night, when we got home from school, Mom was waiting for us with a worried frown. Turns out, Dad was suing us for mental trauma received from the basement. He was trying to claim that he now had post-traumatic stress from our prank, and even had an old sleazy lawyer friend who was willing to go to court with this. Mom was upset with us and worried, while Tammy wanted to enact her toilet paper, honey, and bear plan. I managed to talk her down to a more reasonable idea. Unfortunately for my dad, a quick Google search found that his lawyer friend was a third-rate crook who was a passable lawyer, but nothing more. Tammy and I, on the other hand, could afford the best lawyer that money could buy. This lawyer was handsome, talented, and as good as they come. In court, it took only a few hours for him to annihilate the so-called case of my dad and get him literally laughed out of court. He even got a small spot in the local newspaper mocking him too. Tammy and I were thrilled, and my mom was so relieved. Little did we know that this wasn't the end of my dad's nonsense. A few days later, he appeared on a talk show special, focused on a tell-all about Tammy's and my childhood, about how we were such terrible, homicidal kids that we drove him away. Tammy and I couldn't believe what we were seeing. Dad was making up lies, like that we had pinned him to a wall and thrown knives at him, and the host and audience actually seemed to be believing him. On our videos and emails, Tammy and I started to get threatening, angry messages. At school, some people even started avoiding us. Tammy would just yell at the people who were avoiding us, but I could hardly look at them. We knew that we had to do something. The lawyer had actually hit it off with my mom and were dating. He suggested we sue our dad for libel. I just wanted all this drama to be over with, but we clearly needed to drive away our dad once and for all. So, we sued our dad $500,000 for all the lost subscribers and revenue. Dad kept appearing on more talk shows and telling ridiculous stories about us.
I'm back.
We tried to bury him alive, crazy stuff like that, and had his sleazy lawyer friend come on to back up his stories too. My mom was devastated. It was starting to get awkward going into public. Tammy wasn't doing great either. She broke her leg while trying to do a running jump onto the back of a moving train. I tried talking to her and making her see sense, but she was determined to keep doing crazier and crazier stunts, especially to show up Dad. I knew she wouldn't calm down until we figured out the situation with our dad. Finally, Tammy and I had an idea. We got together a bunch of Dad's former friends and associates to testify that he was an all-around bad guy, complete with a mugshot from when he got convicted from lying a decade ago. It wasn't long before apologies were flooding in and our subscriber count shot back up. Tammy and I were glad, but we just wanted some peace for a while. The next week, Tammy and I thought things were back to normal. We didn't make any videos, but we had a nice week with my mom. She was happy too, since things were getting serious with the lawyer, who was a good man. There was no sign of our dad either. When we came home from school one day, though, all that changed. Dad was camped outside our house. As soon as he saw Tammy and I, he beelined for us and started crying about how sorry he was, how he was a changed man, how we had to forgive him. Tammy and I could hardly bear to look at him. My dad claimed that he had been to church and seen the error of his ways. I told my dad that if he was really sorry and wanted the best for us, then he'd leave us in peace. But he told us that he couldn't bear the guilt, that we had to forgive him. Tammy and I finally had to leave, since he wouldn't listen to reason. Inside the house, Mom and us tried to have a normal dinner, but Dad was still sitting on the lawn in his dirty clothes, camped out. We figured he would get bored or hungry eventually, so we decided to just leave him be. Over the next few weeks, though, he stayed there like a leech. Nothing worked to budge him. We tried calling the cops for trespassing, but since his name was still on the house's lease, they couldn't get rid of him. We even tried paying him off, but he kept demanding more and more money. We finally managed to get a restraining order on him, but when the cops showed up, he managed to dodge them every time. Mom was distraught. We had no clue what to do. I couldn't go on like this. Tammy and I sat down with my mom and talked about what we could do. It really seemed like our dad wasn't going to leave us alone until we were as broke and miserable as he was. But I had a plan. We had all that money in our savings account from our TikTok videos, and money was still pouring in. We needed to move to a fancy gated community. Mom wasn't totally swayed, since she wanted us to stay humble and save that money for college. But once we ran the numbers, she saw that we would still have enough for really good schools, even after buying the house. So she agreed. Moving day, we were filled with nervous anticipation. There had been no sign of our dad, but we knew that he would turn up eventually. Once everything we owned was packed, lo and behold, Dad shows up. He was very drunk and laughed at us, saying that we would never get rid of him. We laughed right back at him, then drove away. He tried running after our car, but of course couldn't catch up. Our new house was beautiful, 2 times the size of our old one, with a magnificent infinity pool. Tammy, my mom, and I were so psyched. Every so often, we'd hear about how my dad would try sneaking in, but he never could get past the gated community security. Tammy and I kept making videos of us roller skating through fancy restaurants, using a pizza for frisbee, silly stuff like that. Our subscriber count kept going up and up. Mom even married the lawyer. Life was good, better than good. It was fantastic. Everything wasn't perfect, though. Now that we were so famous, we were receiving criticism about our videos and their impact on our viewers, especially since one girl got hurt after attempting to replicate Tammy's Costco stunt. Tammy tried to laugh it off, saying that everyone was getting upset over nothing. I wasn't so sure, though. I filmed a video of just me, apologizing for everything and warning people not to try most of these at home. I also donated some money to the viewer who got hurt. I also started a new series of videos focusing on the history of pranks. I learned a lot of interesting facts myself. One day, we got the best news ever. Dad had been arrested for fraud and shoplifting. Once he was in custody, a bunch of his other crimes caught up with him. Since leaving us all those years ago, it turns out Dad had never worked an honest day in his life. Now, he was going to be prosecuted with the full force of the law and pay dearly. In the end, Dad was sentenced to 25 years in prison. He tried to pull the whole religion thing with the judge, but after he tried getting a crony to blackmail her into releasing him, that didn't go over well. Finally, he went to jail and stayed there. Tammy and I were overjoyed. Now, life was really good. We vacationed in Bali, Australia, and LA. We had a gorgeous big house, and we made videos that we loved. Mom finally didn't have to work 2 different jobs to keep us afloat. We had enough money for college if we chose to go. But most importantly, our dad was gone from our lives for good. More than that, something inside me had been healed. I had always taken it personally that Dad had left, but now I had seen what a terrible human being he was. We had been willing to give him a second chance, and he had thrown it in our faces. Now though, I was at peace.
Okay.
Dear Danny,
No.
this is hard for me to tell you.
No.
Watch this story continue onto
Okay.
Centric.com.
Okay. No, gosh
Did
darn
you
it.
know every year, hundreds
Phone
of
does this
children
all the time.
accidentally ingest coin batteries? The new Duracell lithium coin battery is designed with a bitter taste coating, intended to discourage swallowing. Bitter coating technology, a true innovation that helps to keep children safe.
There, okay. Well, I hope you liked this video. Please like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. And well, peace out. Have a good day. And stay safe. Don't get the coronavirus.